Hello, nice to see you for this session on goalkeepers and corporate culture. I was busy this week writing an article about corporate culture, about assuming positive intent. Those of you who know me know that I'm a big fan of that. Thank you, Kimberly Weefling, for putting it into these nice words, API, assuming positive intent, which makes a company agile and which makes teams high performing. There's something that we want in business, right? We want to not only have fun working, but we want to be highly productive and we want to be very innovative, which means we have to change direction a lot. We have to learn, we have to experiment a lot, and that means agility. So today I'm going to look into an older study about goalkeepers, about soccer or football for the people who really play it, soccer for all the Americans. And this is going to go out tomorrow on the Agile Compass. If you're not yet subscribed to the Agile Compass, consider doing so. It's free. It's my weekly newsletter where I do these in-depth dives into Agile topics, but not into the standard stuff that you can read everywhere. I'm not explaining Scrum to you. I might explain the intricacies of how Scrum can be misunderstood or how to resolve certain problems. And it goes far beyond Scrum. It's just agility in general. It's about how to lead, how you do lean budgeting and all the stuff. Most importantly, it's about the human part of agility. The stuff that so often gets forgotten. The psychology, the motivation theory, the behavioral science, because understanding all that helps you understand how you can make an entire organization agile. And the example today, as I said, is goalkeepers and strikers, the soccer teams. And the article is going to go out tomorrow, but I want to talk about it right now. So let me see. Here's a preview of it. I'm not going to read it to you, don't worry. But just so you can see, this image is a beautiful image that I saw. This is actually the goalkeeper here. It looks funny, right? But a 2005 study actually found that the best strategy for a goalkeeper during a penalty, like a penalty is where basically, for those who don't know soccer, it's where the striker stands freely in front of the goal and is free to score. The only person in the way is the goalkeeper. All the other team members have to stand aside. And when you watch soccer matches, what you usually see is you see the goalkeepers diving left and right and flying through the air. This is how they try to catch the ball. It's pretty difficult because reaction time basically doesn't allow for you to react to something that is shot from 11 meters distance. The only thing goalkeepers can do is guess, basically. It's guessing, and it's a little psychology involved, yes. don't want to get into that, like the dark side of psychology, how can confuse the striker. But the thing is, the study found that most of the strikers hit straight in the middle, which makes sense. It's a safe bet. About 40% of those shots, 39.2%, went into the middle. So, if you think about it, the most valuable strategy for the goalkeeper, the best strategy, is actually to remain in the middle, wait for the ball. Just stay there. Don't dive, don't jump, don't do that crazy stuff. Just stand there in the middle. It's the best strategy. Surprisingly, goalkeepers almost always dive. Nobody stands in the middle. It's very rare. Like it's less than 7% remain in the middle. More than 90% of the time they dive to the corners. And that is despite knowing that they have the highest chance of catching the ball when they stand in the middle. They still dive. Why? This is what I want to talk about today. Because the same phenomenon can be seen in teams, in companies. Not only teams, in individuals. It's that we know what is the valuable thing to do. What's best for the product, for the customer, for the business. Yet we don't do it. We know standing in the middle has the highest chance of success. It maximizes the value. Still, we dive left and right. And this article that I wrote talks about the reason. And it's built on that study from 2005, by the way. I linked it in the... And by the way, you can also, if you're a premium subscriber, you can listen to the article. It's fun. I can also add little stories in the listen part that's like added to the written. So if you like to listen to it, go for it. Now let's look into why the goalkeepers don't stand in the middle. The thing here is, put yourself in the shoes of the goalkeeper. It's a high stakes moment. You're standing there. You're the only thing standing between the striker scoring and your team maybe losing, or at least losing a point. Then imagine you're standing there. You know standing in the middle is the best option. You just remain in the middle. The striker hits the ball and it sails into the net far to your right. What do you expect people to think when you were just standing still? Right. The audience will shout at you. Boo, boo, you lazy... Not going to use swear words here. Why didn't you do anything? Why did you just stand there and watch the whole thing? You are not motivated. You are not interested. You are not capable to be a good goalkeeper. Why didn't you do anything? Is it do you want to sabotage the team? This is what people will usually say, and what your teammates might even say. They might say, well, why didn't you do anything? Why did you just stand there and wait for the ball to fly into the net? And then you could explain, yes, standing in the middle had the highest chance of success. High chance of success. It does not mean that it always works. This is just like an experiment in innovation, in a team. We do experiments and they don't always work. Listen to Jeff Bezos. It's not an experiment if you know that it will succeed. It's only an experiment if it has the possibility of failure. In fact, most experiments fail. That's how we learn. So you would look pretty stupid as a goalkeeper if you just stood in the middle, did the best you can with the best intentions, but you just looked lazy. You looked unmotivated. You looked incapable to the others. So what do you do as a goalkeeper? If you are interested in the perception of others, which you should, because this might influence your career. Okay, if you're always standing still and the balls are flying left and right and people don't see you make an effort, you might just be replaced in the team. So what most goalkeepers do actually is they dive, they jump, knowing full well. I don't know if every goalkeeper knows that, but at least some know that. Knowing that they reduce the chances of catching the ball, that they reduce the value of themselves for the team. Deliberately. Which can be seen sometimes at work. When people do things they know full well are not the important or valuable things to do. But they fear the perception of others. They would rather look like they made an effort, look motivated, appear capable, than actually doing the thing that's valuable. Does that sound familiar? I've seen that multiple times. And I've actually myself sometimes have been in the situation where I thought, better appear busy now. Better appear like you're hardworking. It doesn't matter if it makes any sense. And now imagine what that does to the soccer team and to your team and to your company. When people always think about, oh, I have to look motivated, they will always make a decision that is, at best, it's on par with the best option, but many times it will be subpar. It will be adding less value, despite better knowledge. So that's crazy. Goalkeepers actually do that. To that day, they still do it. And I want to see the goalkeeper who is brave enough, and maybe there are any out there. I'm not an expert on the sport. If you know any who are brave enough to just stick to their ground and remain in the middle, despite 60% of the time the ball's flying past them and they look like they didn't make an effort, but actually having a better average score throughout. And how can we get goalkeepers to actually do the more valuable thing? How can we get people in a company, team members, to do the really valuable thing instead of going for the action that looks motivated, looks busy, looks capable? And the answer is it's all about perception. It's how we view another human being, how we view the goalkeeper, how we view our teammates. If that goalkeeper stands straight in the middle, moves not an inch, and the ball sails into the net right or left of them. If then, imagine the team, the audience, everyone around them, cheering them and saying, thank you, you did a great effort trying to catch that ball. That goalkeeper would be fine, right? They would say, okay, yeah, it was the right choice. It was the one with the highest chance for success. And on average, I will be more successful. My team will be more successful. Just right now, it didn't work. So we are assuming that the goalkeeper had positive intent. API, we assume positive intent. We assume that the goalkeeper had the best intentions of catching the ball, and this was just the choice they made. Wonderful. Now they are free to make that choice. Only when we do not assume positive intent, when we look at the goalkeeper and think, oh, you didn't move, why didn't you make an effort, you're not motivated. If we fundamentally assume that people who are moving less, or people who make mistakes, if we fundamentally assume they are lazy, incapable, stupid, unmotivated, then through our image of them, we force them to dive left and right, just to prove to you that they are hardworking, that they are motivated and capable. Even if they know full well that this is not the most important thing to do or the most valuable thing to do. And that's the moral here that we have to learn. What makes a team more successful is such an seemingly intangible thing as perception, culture, assuming positive intent in other people, how we view our team members, how we as leaders view employees. This can fundamentally change their behavior. So next time, maybe when you see a team member or a colleague doing less, saying, no, I'm not doing anything right now because maybe they want to keep a buffer for unpredictable things that might appear so that they are not busy or they didn't create more work in progress, which then clogs up the whole pipeline and makes things more confusing and slows it down the line. Maybe they just say, okay, now that's why I'm doing nothing, or why I'm doing something else that is not interfering with this. Then try to not assume that these people are trying to skirt work. They don't try to avoid work. They are not lazy. They are not unmotivated or incapable. They are just making the smart choice. And even if the choice they are making to you does not appear like the smart choice, at least assume that from their point of view, they are trying to do the best for the team, for the company, for the customer, for the product. Just that assumption can help you react differently to their behavior. Maybe you can ask them why they do it because you don't think it's the best course of action. And then you can have a discussion and you can find out. I can remember a vivid example where we had that with a developer. It appeared, he appeared to be, working against the team. But what he actually tried to do, his intention was supporting and helping the team even more. We just had to align on that. We had the same goal. We just had different paths to get there. But if we had assumed that person would just be malicious or lazy or not a team player, then we wouldn't have gotten that solution. We would have still, might have gotten that person off the team, which wouldn't have been a smart move. So if someone makes a mistake, or someone does less, someone tries something outrageous new and it fails, someone makes a decision, a product owner on a team making a decision about something, and then finding out in the next demo session that it horribly failed, you as their leader, as their manager, shouldn't say, that was a stupid decision. No, you should applaud them. Thank you for making that decision, for being brave to try something new. I assume that you had only the best intentions. You didn't do it to work less. You didn't do it because you're stupid. You didn't do it because you're not motivated and you don't care. But you did it with a positive intent. You tried to do the best and it just failed. Okay? It cannot work every time. Just changing that culture in a team and in a company and in a soccer team can tremendously change the choices that people make. And it's even more important if you have self-managing teams who make a lot of choices on their own. And you have to make sure that they are comfortable making good choices, making good decisions. And They can only make good decisions if they don't have to fear that about the looks of it. Does it look good? No, it doesn't look good if you make an innovative move and you try something new and it completely fails. Okay? Elon Musk trying to build their Model 3 with only robots in the factory. Other car companies were making fun of them. It's stupid. It will never work. How could you? Okay. Now, Elon Musk has the luxury of that it kind of seems to bounce off of him. He doesn't care. But many people don't have that luxury. If you tell them that is a stupid move, that was dumb, and I think you are lazy or you're just stupid or you're unmotivated, they will adapt their behavior. Next time, they will not make that move. They will be more conservative in what they do. They will think more about the perception, about the looks of their work, than about the real value. And in that situation, self-managing teams cannot make smart decisions because essentially they don't decide on their own. They decide based on what you think about them. Or more precisely, they decide on what they think that you think about them. And this is culture. This is what we call culture. So make sure you establish a culture, and you do that by modeling, by setting examples. If a product owner, for example, makes a decision and it turns out to be a bad decision, and it hurts you, it hurts your budget, and you have to kind of, you have to explain that to your boss, why that failed. Still, it's your job to go to the product owner in front of everybody and say, thank you. It was great that you made that decision. It turned out to be wrong. Not your fault. I assume you had the best intentions. Please keep doing innovative things. Keep experimenting. It's amazing how many... another perspective on perception. When we look at companies like an Amazon, like an Apple, like a Tesla, we see the successful experiments come out. We rarely see the failed experiments. Sometimes we do, but rarely. We don't see what's going on inside these companies, how many things they get wrong. If they would, if they would blame people for that every time, then, or even if they would even fire people for these mistakes, they would, first of all, they would lose all their good people. But even if they don't fire them, they would create a culture where mediocrity is okay, where you just try to avoid risk, you just try to appear hardworking, but you don't go for the high value stuff. You don't take any risks anymore. And that wouldn't be an Apple, an Amazon, a Tesla. These are very innovative companies in different fields. But inarguably, they have a very high market value. All of them. And this is why they have a lot of failures. And that can only happen if you build a culture in which people don't have to worry about the looks of it. As soon as the goalkeeper has to worry that you accuse him of being unmotivated, trying to avoid work when he remains in the middle and does nothing, at that moment he starts to change his behavior. And this is the leadership job. And we have leadership on all levels in Agile companies. So it's you to your team members, it's you to the team you're leading, it's you to the department you're leading, it's you to the entire company you're leading. Set an example, and if you see someone, you view them and it appears that they are lazy, unmotivated, just not caring, and things go wrong, then just assume they have the best intentions. After all, you hired them. And most people actually, 99% or more of people have good intentions. There might be the odd case, yes, where there is a bad intention. But it's not worth treating the 99% of the rest the same way because of that. Assuming positive intent is the big thing. This is how goalkeepers can get better, how their teams are more successful, and this is also how teams can get better. So this is my little topic. It goes out on the Agile Compass tomorrow, so you can sign up for free if you're not already on the Agile Compass. I know quite a few people are already on there. Then look forward to it. And again, if you wanna, you can even listen to the article if you're a premium subscriber. I also have a Discord here where you can discuss the article and talk more about it. Now you have the chance to discuss it. Put something in the comments. Now it's for free. But as a premium subscriber, you can always hop on Discord and go deeper into the topic of these articles. So I think this is a nice example. This is just one study from the world of sports, but it's a nice example to see how perception and culture can really shape the performance of a team. It's so often that we see these things as soft stuff that's not really related to high performance, like culture and perception. That's a nice to have. If we have time, then we can add it and it seems morally right. No, that's not what this is about. It's about hard business facts. This is how you get high performance. This is how you make profits by creating that culture, by assuming positive intent in people. And I hope that message, and I just realized I showed the wrong banner. So here's the Agile Compass. But you will find out. So this is where you can get the article. By the way, the Agile Coach Education will also start soon. Now it's only a few weeks until it will start, so you can still sign up there. We go a lot into the psychology stuff there, and how we build such a culture, and how it works. We also go into the technical stuff, okay? Like do the budgeting, also technical stuff in how do you get to a test-driven environment in software, in hardware, the real techie. But the part that really makes or breaks most agile transformations today is that human part. The thing, culture, and views of other human beings. It sounds soft, and sadly many coach education programs and some coaches just do away with that and say, yeah, that's mindset and here are the values and that's it. And now let's get to the real stuff. We talk about how you do your daily stand-up. That's too little. We have to talk about what is that agile mindset? What does it actually mean? And more importantly, how do you begin to create it? Because that's the important thing. We cannot simply say, oh, be more courageous, be more open, have a psychological safety. It doesn't work like that. It's not a magic spell you put out into the world and say, oh, now you have psychological safety. I've seen managers do that. Like, now you're a self-managing team. Be courageous, make your own decisions, go. Dude, it doesn't work like that. If it would be amazing, but sadly, that's not how it works in reality. The Agile Manifesto, Agile values are great, but it's only a starting point. It has to be actionable. This is why we created the Agile Coach Education Program. We try to make it actionable so that it can actually work. And we also get into the stuff that then creates the high performance. It's not only measuring your flow and your cycle time and optimizing that. Yes, that's also important. That's important tools that you also have to have as an Agile coach. But if you forget the human part, almost everything of the rest falls apart. And this is the reason that I've seen so many agile transformations fail. Attempted agile transformations, I shall say. But attempted, most agile transformation actually go into a zombie state. They kind of stay there, like the pig you put some lipstick on, right? It stays there. It's still the same old pig. You painted it in nice agile terms. You said, okay, now it's not called use case, it's called user story. Now it's not called requirements document, it's backlog. And you have that, but this is fake agile. This nobody really in their right mind expects this to work. I mean, work in a sense that it makes you more agile. It will not. At best, it will be as good as what you had before. And at worst, it will confuse people and make things worse. If you really want to be agile, you have to look for these human factors. And that's so often neglected. This is why we focus on that so much. As much as I'm a hardcore fan of the techie stuff, software engineer by training, so I really dig test-driven development, the red-green refactor cycle, going into that branching models, and I dig that. And I love to do that with you, if you are into that. But that alone is not what makes a business agile. There is more to it than this stuff or any framework or something. There is particularly this human element about culture and perception. So, any questions, any comments to that? Maybe anyone opposing my views or think it's there's some flaw in what I say here? Then please put it in the comments or chat, depending on the platform. I'm trying to stream to 3 platforms now, so put it wherever you would put it, and I should see it. I hope that I see it. I only know once the first comment rolls in. Maybe just tell me where you're watching from. Where are you from? Where are you sitting right now? Are you sitting in on a beach in Vietnam? Are you at a breakfast in the marina in San Francisco, in a coffee shop? Or are you in Europe now, looking forward to the end of your workday? Where are you from? Just let me check the comments if it's even working. And if you have a question or a comment to what we just discussed, of course, please put it there. Challenge me, ask me. And until that, maybe let's get back into the study here. And by the way, if you're watching this on a replay, right now it's live, but in the future, right now it's live. Okay, that's a stupid thing to say on a recording. Okay, it's March 20th. If you're watching this after March 20th, it's likely it's the replay, because LinkedIn, for example, saves that. Then the newsletter might already be out on the Agile Compass, so you can get it there. And then we've talked about most of the stuff you could tune out now. But as long as people are here and I don't see any comments, then let me get back to that study, because I found that very interesting. I saw that study, it's from 2005. Here it's action bias among elite soccer goalkeepers, the case of penalty kicks. It's from 2005. I had already heard about that years ago, but only recently. Oh, thank you. The first comment. I see it. Thank you. Oh, currently sitting in home office, Mario, in northern Germany. It's boring. Yeah, I'm sitting in the actually the middle southern part of Germany, also in the home office. It's a sunny day today, which is usually nice to have in March, such a sunny day. But with all the climate change going on, it's always there is kind of a two-sided feeling when you have sunny days, warm days so early on in the year. But I think it's fine for March to have a few warm days. So thank you for the comment. Now I know it's working and it's arriving everywhere. So I know I will see the comments. Check on that. Thank you. So this study, it crossed my path again this year. And I just thought this is such a nice description of what happens in in what I've seen happening in teams and companies with culture. And it's actually that they looked at a number, I think 200 or 300 penalty kicks that they looked at, and they saw that 39.2% were going in the middle, the strikers. About, 28% were going right and 30-something% going left. Left being having a higher chance than right, because most strikers are right-footed and they would prefer to shoot to the left. That's just, you would have to angle your hips differently if you wanted to shoot to the right as a right-footed striker. Goalkeepers know that. They know the stats here. So they know diving in that direction to the left from the perspective of the striker has a higher chance of success than diving to the other side. But they also know that the middle is the best place to be, statistically. But it's also the worst place to be if you're caring about the image of you portrayed in media and seen by other teams who might then hire you, and maybe the next discussion about your salary. Maybe it's not about how many penalties you actually held and caught as a goalkeeper, but it's about how much they think, how much effort you put into it. And then you will rather dive than stay in the middle. And it was actually, the numbers was that 6.3% of the goalkeepers were remaining in the middle. 6.3%. That's almost nothing. And 93% dove left or right. So that's clearly not rational. And we are humans. We are not rational. We are not rational. The idea of the Homo economicus is overruled. For a long time in economics, we've seen the Homo economicus. We have seen the rational human being. Rational human being, which is driven by biological drives, by instincts, first and foremost. But beyond that is driven by incentives, like trying to maximize their perceived value function. And that's okay. You can use that in models because you have to make simplifications somewhere. But if you solely rely on people being rational, and if you give them more money, they will do something more likely. And if you threaten to punish them, you can get them to do something. If you only use that model, it's going to fail in practice, especially with knowledge work in today's fast-paced market environment. It will fail because it neglects the irrationality of humans, it neglects emotions, and it neglects a pivotal thing that's called intrinsic motivation. There is a motivation, something that motivates us from inside of us. It's not only the money or the incentives or the promotion outside that get us to do something. And while we are at it, maybe I can talk about another study. Let's get that out of the way here. Another study from 1950. It's the famous study that founded intrinsic motivation. That founded the whole movement and research, I think, in that. That study in 1950 was with rhesus apes, like animals, not humans. It was animals. So intrinsic motivation was found first in animals, albeit they're animals who are very closely related to us. And what they did there, I can't remember the full study, but it was basically the apes were there and they had to solve a puzzle. And what the researchers wanted to find out was that if they trained to solve that puzzle, could they learn and then be better at solving the puzzle than the control group, which didn't learn to do it and just saw the puzzle for the first time. And to motivate them to do the puzzle, to learn, to motivate them to learn. We still try to do that with kids in schools today. That's sad. To motivate the apes to learn. Not the kids. Sorry, I'm talking about the study. The apes in the 1950 study to learn. They had, I think, some kind of treat, sugar liquid or something. So anytime the ape solved or just tried to solve, like learned and trained on the puzzle, they gave them a treat. And to make them learn. Because this is the predominant model still in so many managers' minds today. The predominant model that you can only get people or animals to do something if you incentivize them or threaten them. But let's just stick with the incentive, the nice part, the incentivizing part. Because otherwise they will only eat, sleep, and reproduce. Basically the biological drives. They will not do anything else. And the surprising thing is, they didn't have to give them sugar water. Even the apes who didn't get any treats and just had the puzzle there, they just had a problem in front of them. Something interesting. The apes solved the puzzle. They learned to solve the puzzle. And they did it repeatedly. They learned without getting anything for it. They didn't get a treat. They didn't expect a treat even. They just did it because the problem was there. And actually, this is how we humans work. We solve problems because they are there. Not for a reason. Sometimes we come up with reasons, yes. But often we just, because it's there. Why do some people climb mountains, high mountains, and get into the risk of dying while doing that? If you ask some of them, they will say, because the mountain is there. Nobody pays me for that. I don't get anything for that. I simply go up there because it's there. And the apes, the same thing. The problem was there, or it was just an interesting contraption they wanted to learn. And they did it over and over again. And these apes, not being incentivized, were amazing at solving the puzzle because they practiced and practiced and practiced. Only out of their inner intrinsic motivation. And this puzzled researchers for years from then on. Because this intrinsic motivation thing, it's scary. Where does that come from? It cannot be. It must be a flaw. Somehow the study must have been set up in a bad way, or they expected a treat because they gotten in the study before or something. So there's all kinds of things. And the researchers themselves, I think, were questioning the results. But it turned out that there is such a thing as an inner motivation that comes from the animal and from the human themselves. And this was then coined the intrinsic motivation. And it took years for that to seep into science, really. I mean, psychologists might have talked about it, I don't know, but in business, this idea was heresy. It wasn't, as far as I know, there were even researchers, professors fired from universities because they were researching intrinsic motivation. Because at that time, it was the Homo economicus was the model. You can only motivate human beings with extrinsic motivators. If you give them something, if you give the apes sugar water, if you give the people money or promotion, better status, whatever they might want. Or if you want to go the other way, to the dark side, you could punish them. You could threaten them. Works as well. It's not as nice. So that was the idea. You could only motivate people like that. And in some school systems, we still do that with children. We assume there is no intrinsic motivation to learn. So we try to incentivize them. I know with good intentions, some parents do it. Some parents say, okay, if you pass that test, if you learn a lot, you will get this and this and this and that to help them. And I can see the point. I totally see it. I don't blame anyone. It could be me, myself, doing that. But knowing about the science is that these extrinsic motivators slowly, over time, bury the intrinsic motivation. They replace it. And you can actually almost kill intrinsic motivation with extrinsic motivators. So if you look for grades and other these external measures and incentives, that is actually the old Homo economicus. This is the old view of human beings. Once we get, and luckily more and more school systems nowadays understand that. The teachers have long understood that, most teachers. The system is so slow to change, the school system. If you understand intrinsic motivation, you can say, children and adults, yes, your teammates, your employees, they want to learn. They have a joy in getting better in what they do. Daniel Pink calls that mastery. They strive for mastery. And that in itself gives them joy. A long time ago, years, actually decades ago, I was developing computer games. And in computer games, there is the theory of fun. You constantly try to figure out what do people enjoy? How do I give them fun? That elusive thing. And what gives people fun in computer games, and this is how basically all computer games work, is by learning. Learning. You have a challenge that you cannot master initially. If you can master it initially, the game is boring. You will throw it away because it's too easy. It's just boring. But you're close to mastering it. You are. It's so close. It's not like that mountain where you say, "Oh, I'm never gonna do that." Okay, like if you don't play an instrument and you watch a master concert piano player play, and then you say, "Oh no, I'm out. I'm never gonna be at that level." This is not how you want to do it. This is frustrating. But have something where you say, I could do it. With a little practice, I could do it. And then have people trying the challenge over and over again, failing failing is fun. Not at the moment, but while we fail, we learn and we practice. We learn new patterns. We try new patterns. And at a certain moment in time, we've learned it. We've learned the skills, or we've discovered a pattern that works and gets us over the challenge. And this is the fun. This is the moment of fun. This is joy. This is mastery. We now solved a challenge that we couldn't before, and we learned something new to do it. So we have an inner joy in doing that, in learning, in mastering things, in overcoming challenges, in facing challenges, in failing in facing challenges. There is a joy in that. And it's not always joyful, I admit, but this is what keeps us going as humans. This is what makes us happy. So don't assume that people only work for money, for the paycheck. Yes, money is important. It has to be fair, and they have to make a decent living from it. But don't use money as that carrot you dangle in front of people to change their behavior. Oh, I know you want to do that, but here's the carrot, so please do that. This feels manipulative. And if you've read Daniel Pink's book, then you know the 3 pillars he mentions of intrinsic motivation are mastery, that I already mentioned, purpose, and autonomy. And what you do when you dangle a carrot and try to change people's behavior is you manipulate them. You take away their autonomy. You take away their decision what to focus on, what to do, how to do their work. This is, going back to self-managing teams, this is how self-managing teams work. You don't tell them how to do their work. You trust them, assuming positive intent, you trust them to know how to do their work. You don't need to tell them. And even if they do it differently than you thought they would, you still assume positive intent because these are the experts you hired for that. And then they are autonomous. And autonomy creates motivation, creates joy, creates high performance. So that was a small addendum to, or it was a completely new topic to the goalkeeper topic and the culture topic. But you see how this is connected. And to me, these are the important aspects. This is why we did the Agile Coach Education Program. That's going to start in a few weeks. The next group's going to start in a few weeks. So if you still want to join, there's still room. But we focus on exactly these things. And not only how they work, but we also focus on how you can help teams to get there. How you can really create autonomy. How you can make them, how you can create that mastery, that purpose. How you can make them live the Agile values. Not just tell them to do it, but really make them do it. So if you're interested in that, feel free to join us. I would be happy to welcome you there on that program because it's very intense. It's a 6-month program. It's 1 session a week. It's an evening session, so you can, don't worry, it's not 6 month full time. It's spread out over the time deliberately. But there's a lot of ground to cover during that. And it's just a joy to learn all these different aspects that go beyond Agile frameworks, beyond the standard stuff that we usually get taught when we think about agility. Because I've been in that circus for more than 20 years. I started in 2003 with extreme programming back then. And over the years, I noticed that it's not being the best developer. It's not knowing your framework and doing your stand-ups right, but it's about that human aspect. This is what makes or breaks it. I can name so many companies who do Agile frameworks by the book and are not Agile at all. They do the dance, They make a show. They have their stand-ups, their reviews, maybe even their retrospectives. Most of them don't. And they have Scrum Masters, and they have product owners, and the Scrum Masters are just project managers in disguise. And they have a culture where the product owners are afraid to make decisions. And you can see where this is going. So you can do Scrum by the book. You can do Safe by the book. And not be agile at all. So it's that human element. It's the psychology, it's the behavioral science, the motivation science, it's the knowing how habits work. It's also learning to lead yourself. Like it's yes, emotions are also important. They are an aspect that are often neglected at work, but they are important for high performance. They are not important for feel-good culture. They are important for making a profit, for high performance. It's not enjoying work, feeling good, feeling welcomed is not the opposite of high performance. This is a misunderstanding. Just this morning, I heard the happiness podcast. Today is World Happiness Day. Happy World Happiness Day. Reflect on how happy you are. Just try to enjoy the moment. That you can watch this right now from wherever you are, from your home office, and just get some knowledge for free. Look at the sun outside and enjoy it. And the next sip from your coffee, just try to savor it. It's World Happiness Day. And now it froze here over here, but I think it's still going. So now I forgot what this was going with the World Happiness Day, because the podcast was very interesting. Oh yeah, it went there that people always think that self-compassion would be the opposite of high performance. So self-compassion means don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes be nice to yourself, because we can be harshest to ourselves. If we would talk to other people, to colleagues, to employees, in the same mean way we often talk to ourselves, it would be horrible. But we do it to ourselves because we think this is what makes us reach higher, do more, and get to high performance. But it is not. It actually leads to procrastination. It leads to lower performance. And self-compassion is actually the thing that leads to high performance. And I'm going to pass on that small tip that I got from the Happiness podcast, is for self-compassion. When you have that chatter in your mind where you say, okay, I have to do that, and I should have done that, I messed up here, and I'm not good at that, or I should do more, I must do this and this and that now, and you judge yourself and you have that negative chatter going on. Try to not talk in your mind about I. Try to talk about you. Address yourself in the second or third person. Because it's a little trick, because then you talk more, you notice how mean you are to yourself sometimes. How unfair and outright mean you are. And how you are putting yourself down. And talking to yourself in the second or third person can actually help notice that, and you will be kinder to yourself. Just like you would to another person who maybe didn't get all the work done today. To yourself, you say, why can I do that? Or tomorrow I have to do twice as much, and I'm gonna put in the midnight oil. But if it was another person, you would say, hey, it's okay to have a bad day. It's just, we are human beings, and sometimes you're up there, sometimes down there. That's natural. Just write it out. Tomorrow will be another day. So you will be more compassionate. That's just a small tip that I want to pass on from that happiness podcast on the Happiness Day. I think it can help all of us. And it's just part of learning to lead yourself. Again, part of the Agile Coach education that we are offering. It's that part. You have to learn to lead yourself before you can lead others. Many people in leadership positions skip that step. They try to lead others without being capable of leading themselves. That's dangerous. You have to learn to lead yourself, how you work yourself, your inner character. You have to lead yourself before you can attempt to actually lead and understand and lead others. And that's also part of that program. And if you're now thinking why there are so many topics for that program, it's a weekly session and over 6 months even enough. Then I can say there is more than we could do than we have time for. We also have monthly weekend sessions to add a little bit of extra time, and also where we can train and practice things, and also where we can meet. Last year we met in Paris, like a weekend in Paris. It was wonderful to do that there, to do Agile coach education just in Paris on a sunny day. We were there September, I think. So maybe we can do that again this year, if you join. But yes, there's not enough time to get into all that. But what we do with the Agile Coach Education Program is actually, when we start, we talk about everything we could do. And then the small group of people who joins, it's limited to 10 seats. So the small group of people, we decide together what we're going to kick out. Because maybe you all know about a certain framework already, or you know about certain psychological things, you know about lean budgeting already. So we can kick that out, and we don't, or maybe we need to only look at it superficially, or we can already do the advanced part and skip the basics. This is how we make room. And we simply prioritize. It's like your average backlog, okay? We have a backlog, and a backlog is never meant to be fully fulfilled. A backlog goes on forever. And you start with the high value stuff on top, and you work until time is up. And then you delivered the most value you could deliver in that time. And the prioritization of that backlog, we do that together with the students. So that's how it works. It's just a very agile approach, frankly. And if you have questions about that, I plan to do a kind of a QA session for the ACE program, for this Agile Coach Education tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, just join me there. Then you can ask any question. If you're already on the waiting list for the Agile Coach Education program, I also have a Zoom session where you can not only reply with comments, but also just outright talk, and we can have a discussion. And you can ask all your questions. And see if it's a fit for you right now, or if you're already ready for it or not. We can debate all that. And with that, we talked about a lot of stuff now, more than just the penalty kick conundrum. I hope you got value out of this session. If so, please spread the word so that more people can see that. I believe this is going to be preserved on LinkedIn and YouTube and somewhere. So just share it with people. Send them there if you think it could help them. It could add value to them as well. And then I see you maybe tomorrow for the ACE program Q&A session, or just in the comments under my next post, or in the next live session here. Thank you for joining, for listening. Thank you also for commenting, and see you next time. Have a great day, great evening, wherever you are.